All right. Now it's time for Parlay Piece NFL 6-pack.
Well, that's quite the intro, and I do greatly appreciate it. And it won't be our last 6-pack of the year, but of course, it's the final week of the NFL. So let's get into it. I tried to get as many meaningful games in as possible. Games that kind of will determine something, that actually have meaning to the playoff picture. Unfortunately, they do not have the Bills Patriots lineup, so I won't touch it because it hasn't been put up yet. But that was one of the games that I did want to touch, but we won't be touching it. So we'll just go ahead and get into the ones that we will be touching. We're going to start off with the AFC South Championship game. I am so tempted to take the Jaguars -6 here. -6, yes, it was -6 here. But I'm just going to touch the over-under. I don't think Josh Dobbs puts any points up, and I think that they stack the box all day against Derrick Henry and that it's a low-scoring game. So we're just going to take under 40 in the Titans at Jaguars AFC South Championship. Next game. This game is actually the only game that has absolutely no meaning to it. But I think that these guys are going to finish the season strong for Steve Wilkes. And if they had won, this would have been a potential NFC South Championship game. Let me get the Carolina Panthers +3.5 at New Orleans. I think close game. I ultimately do think Carolina's going to win, but we'll just take the points because they're giving it to us. Next game. This game does have implications because my belief is that the Bills are going to beat the Patriots. And because they're going to beat the Patriots, this now turns into a playoff game for the Dolphins. Give me the Dolphins money line. They have them at -135, and I understand why because Tua is not playing, and then there's a chance that Teddy apparently might not play, or it's going to be like Skylar Thompson. I think that they get it done at the end of the day, and I think that if they don't get it done, Mike McDaniels, this will be a pretty epic collapse, buddy.
Yeah.
8-4 to 8-9. Boy. I don't know. I think a guy like Sean Payton being available, and then a guy like Tom Brady being available, and that that little rumor that they had, it would open the door for something like that if they don't win this game and they lose at home to the Jets.
Remember, the business school at Michigan is named after the Dolphins owner. It's named after Stephen Ross.
Mm-hmm. Anywho, next we got the final game of the regular season. The Detroit Lions at the Green Bay Packers. I think that it should come as no surprise to anyone here. And kind of like we talked about earlier in the show, Lee, sometimes we got to change our mind on this type of stuff. I don't step in front of Aaron Rodgers on a streak headed into the playoffs, and I won't do it with the Detroit Lions. As much as I would love to be correct on my preseason pick for the playoffs, having the Lions sneak in as that last team, we're going to roll with Go Pack Go and Ron Rodgers on the money line. We're going to take the Green Bay Packers on the money line.
Stroke like A-Rod.
Yep. And then next game, a game that has somewhat of a meaning, I guess, depending on what happens in the Eagles game, which I won't touch because they have the spread at 14, and that makes it sound like Daniel Jones isn't playing. That's what that seems like. That him and like they're going to rest guys that's what that line tells me. That line was 14, so I didn't want to touch it.
Tyrod might be better, though. Just throwing that out there.
He might be, but if nobody else is playing and Philly knows it. I mean, even though that 14 is still really steep.
It may be Kenny Galladay and Tyrod out there, and they might start flinging that thing around the yard.
You think he'll get the 75 catches? For the 750? No? Okay. Well, either way, we're going to go with the Minnesota Vikings at the Chicago Bears because Minnesota is playing for something. And more importantly, they need to get that bad taste out of their mouth for that ass whooping they took last week against the Packers. They're playing against a Justin Fields-less Bears team. I'm going to lay the 7.5 because they are still playing for what could be the number 2 seed if San Francisco fucks around and finds out. And then finally, another game that's got somewhat of a meaning, and Bobby Wagner coming out and talking about it today made me kind of want to get on the Baker train one final time.
Come on,
we got the LA Rams at the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to take the Rams +7.5 to get the cover as our final regular season pick of this season.
You said +7.5?
plus 7.5. I'm gonna lay that 7.5.